It was a fitting end to the trip to see the Museum of Contemporary Art in Shanghai. It actually served as a great bookend. The very first place we went was the Tianzifang district, where we saw primarily tourist art. And then at the end, we saw this exhibition at the Museum of Contemporary Art, which was probably the highest caliber collection of art in one place that we saw the entire trip. The name of the exhibit was Butterfly Dream. And this goes back apparently to a millennium-old story that goes something like this. Zhuangzi had a dream one night that he was a butterfly, and he was floating around like a butterfly. And then when he woke up, he was Zhuangzi again, but he didn't know at that time whether Zhuangzi had had a dream that Zhuangzi was a butterfly, or whether the butterfly had the dream that he was Zhuangzi. And at this extent, there was this unity of dream and reality, as well as simultaneously the separation of them and not knowing which actually stands in the shoes of reality. And this served as a metaphor in the eyes of the curators of this exhibition for the relationship of new China to old China. Has China actually transformed from one society into another, or is it really the same society in a different stage of metamorphosis? Who knows?
My heart jumped a little with excitement when we walked through the mocha door. To the right, I saw a piece of art that we had seen on display at a gallery in Redtown just the day prior.
A digital multimedia piece. It was etched glass, painted with LED light elements.
But then we continued walking and we turned the corner and wow, there was a collection from Wang Tiande. I was so proud to see him on display.
We saw a wonderful piece by our friends, Colleen Kwan and Rick Lee, actually occupying really the center of the main exhibition space on the ground floor. It was one of Colleen's beautiful flowing gowns and some of Rick's furniture pieces and a mobile element that Rick had also created, which was very wonderful to see a little piece of home in the Shanghai Museum of Contemporary Art. We then progressed up to the second level where we saw a series of 4 wonderful large-size oil and acrylic paintings. So back in California, we're seeing a lot of art coming out of the art schools that critics, for lack of a better term, have dubbed pop surrealism. It's a style that shares roots with street art, graffiti art, skateboard culture, and Japanese pop culture as well. It's characterized by vivid colors. It's primarily figurative. It has a sort of cartoon-like quality that shares an affinity again with the work of Murakami, Nara, and pop toy manufacturing, anime, and manga culture as well. Rarely have I seen that style executed to the same effect as I see here in this painting by Yang Na. It is on a massive scale. It shares that quality of very pure line, bright colors, figurative qualities, yet in a dreamlike, surrealist state. But the quality of the execution here really, in my mind, puts it a cut above most of what I've seen back at home, both in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. We proceeded along, saw several paintings, sculptures. We stopped at this wonderful photography. So this piece of photography by Gao Yuan works for me on pretty much every level. Concept, composition, as well as craft. Anyone familiar with Renaissance art in the Western tradition will immediately recognize the Madonna and Child. And situated in circles is an icon of the high Renaissance paintings by Raphael, Botticelli, all the stuff that's hanging in the Uffizi Gallery. Yet here what you see is not just a mother and a boy, but a combination of boys and girls. And the title of the piece is 12 Moons. And we get the moon obviously from the round discs of each image here, but also each baby has a tattooed character somewhere on its body, and each character is a sign of the Chinese zodiac. These are the 12 animals that make up the Chinese zodiac. And what I also find interesting is the images in the background of each moon. Again, those familiar with Renaissance painting know that the painters of the Madonna and Child paintings of the Renaissance always chose scenes in the background that were contemporary to them. It was always an image from an Italian medieval or Renaissance town. It was never a biblical scene. And here, if you look in the background of each of the 12 moons, you see something from contemporary China. Here is Pudong at night. Here is the CCTV, recently completed in Beijing. Skylines of apartment blocks, parking lots. It's a very consistent choice that resonates from east to west and back again. And the decision to make each one a moon and a sign of the Chinese zodiac really brings these two traditions together in a remarkable way. And I think it's one of the more successful photographic works that we've seen on the trip.
Walk into the MoCA and you see a little bit of everything, which is something that you might not necessarily see at any particular gallery you visit on any particular day. Multimedia, videos, statues of anything from 1,000 tiny plastic manufactured toys.
A really thought-provoking and interesting installation of essentially Chinese-made, mass-produced dolls and toys with images of factory workers, and clearly the people that manufactured these toys.
To Buddha's hands.
The theme that has emerged for me, as I've been talking about all along, is this simultaneous grounding in traditional methods and traditional subject matter and traditional media with a new departure that is really identity-based and artist-centric, and how those two paradoxical impulses have been combined and reflected in a very effective and impressive manner. And I think that this story, which may date back to Lao Tzu, is something that actually shows that this concept, this paradox, has been recognized in Chinese culture for 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years, and we're seeing it played out in the contemporary art scene in Shanghai today. And I know my wife feels very fortunate that we were able to come to this place at this time to see what's going on right now. Very exciting. So this afternoon we visited the Dolun Museum of Modern Art. This is a small museum that was actually established by the Hongkou district government. This is a neighborhood government in Shanghai. This would be comparable to the Haight-Ashbury local government starting a Museum of Modern Art, which is a wonderful enterprise here.
You take the spiral stairwell that's very contemporary and smooth, and each floor is a little nibble of something delectable with different artists.
The exhibition we saw was Screen Painting, was the title of the show, and it was depictions in paint primarily of video images. Now, this concept is not new. We've seen artists paint video images for the past several years. In fact, I've heard it called video realism. But once again, the quality of the execution of this particular concept was very, very high. There was one artist in particular named Yu Shuhong that I thought was just brilliantly executed. It was almost a pointillist approach. It was a diptych, essentially, of looking up from the ground at large trees, large barren leafless trees. This was a screen capture from some film or television show, we don't know what. The video pointillization, pixelization was brought out by applications of very small dots of metallic colored paint overlain on very, very almost vague, oblique, airbrushed strokes for the tree trunk and the tree branches themselves. This is work that I would love to show back in San Francisco if I ever had the opportunity.